All right, welcome to this week's podcast. We've got Jay in the house. We've got Michelle. We've got Miley, myself, and Anna. And the first question is kind of like a thought-provoking one. There's no details to this question, Anna, so don't bust my balls for it. Just like we'll make up the details as we go to make this as hard as possible for you. Okay? I know you like things easy, but we're gonna challenge you today.
Okay.
All right, so question one. If you were totally in love with somebody and you guys got married and they suddenly died in some freak accident, or so you thought, and a year later, through all the mourning and the crying it took you to get over that person, you finally met someone new, fell in love again, and then that long lost husband comes back, or wife for that matter, for the guys, comes back, professes their love, says, I was thinking about you the whole time. I've been through this crazy ordeal. It could be some like cruise fell off the ship or hiking accident where the helicopter can't spot them in time, right? You know, okay, whatever the scenario might be, whatever they told you, the story they told you, they come back like a year later and want you back. So what do you do between person number one and person number two in that hypothetical scenario?
Person number one is the lost husband, or person number one is a new person already?
Person number one is the first person you fell in love with.
Okay.
Person number two is the second person you fell in love with.
Okay. Clarify.
Okay. Let's start right here.
Well, with me,
Yes.
I think once you move on from someone, you're done with them. And the person's probably not going to be the same person that you remembered your relationship with. So I think if I found someone new and I fell in love with them, I wouldn't risk that for a memory of what I thought our relationship used to be. I'm a different person from a year ago, and I don't think that the relationship would probably go back to that. So I'd probably stay with the person that I'm currently with. You know, I'd have a relationship as a friend with the ex, but I probably wouldn't go back to them.
Okay, fair. I'm
I
gonna get
agree with
everyone's
that
answers.
110%.
You only get one time to give your answer. So, Jay, let's start with you.
Yeah, I think that if I moved on and I found a new person in my life and fell in love with that new girl, it'd be hard to, switch gears and go back. Especially, I think the only thing that would maybe be a factor is if there's kids involved. But if there's no kids, it's, you got to move on, and it's not fair to the new girl that's in my life that we have mutual love for. And if I go through the hardship of getting over that first girl, I'm ready to move on to the next.
Okay, that's fair. Okay, so stay with the second person. Stay with the second person.
Yeah, stay with the second person. I agree 100%. I'm not the same person. They're not the same person anymore. So I think it's best we just, and also, I guess you'd have to, we didn't really talk about whether or not the guy coming back, like whether he's just thinking about like the memory of us, right? Like he's not really the same person. Why would he still want to be with me?
Okay, and Anna.
I feel like staying with the second person was my choice as well. So, but also there are so many options and so many questions why it happened.
Okay, please go ahead. Shoot some of the questions. I'll try to like poke the holes in my
let's do
case,
it.
and I'll try to
Like
fill
role
them
play.
one by one.
Okay, let's do that.
What's
Okay.
the most important detail you want to know? I think the girl would be like, "Where the f you been?"
First of all, I feel like people are going to be numb and they will not just be very aggressive and they will not address anything right away. I feel like they're going to be in shock. So definitely you see somebody you didn't expect, you're shocked. So, and I feel like the first, human brain is quite interesting when it comes to the psychology because we do remember only good things about whatever happened in the past. We tend to
That's kinda what
neglect
she
everything
said.
what's negative. And I think that, so in this case, I feel like majority of the time, even when people break up, the first few months, people, oh my gosh, we had such a great time together. Why we were fighting? We were fighting for no reason. And that's why so many people tend to go back. And on the long run, they end up breaking up again.
So you just said what she said. It was a memory that existed once, and it's not like that anymore. So what's
So-
your answer, and what details do you want me to like?
Yeah,
Phil.
definitely. Okay, for example.
He said kids, right? that was the detail he wanted to know. He said, if there's no kids, and then he gave his answer. Like, what do you want to know to answer this question?
So why it took that long in order to come back? Whether there's any like
he
medical
fell
conditions?
off a cruise ship. He went into a coma. They rescued him, but it took him 6 months to wake up. And then it took him 6 months to recover. And he was thinking about getting into your arms the whole time.
So technically he was gone only for 1 year and she already moved on. Damn.
She was mourning for a year, yeah.
I was like, that's like, I thought we were talking about
let's
few
say,
more years.
let's say it was 2 years, okay? Let's say it was 2 years. You're right.
Yeah, from the medical standpoint, if somebody's in coma, they actually cannot be in coma for like longer than certain period of time. Then they
You make this difficult for
I
me.
know, it's a difficult question. I think definitely in this situation, I think that having honest conversation, just maintaining the relationship is the best
That's
thing
what she
people
would
can
tell
have.
guy number 2. She'd be like, this is the situation that happened. We're going
Yeah.
to have to continue and give honest communication. They already said what they would do. You're
Yeah.
not even giving an answer. This is what you would tell guy number 2?
Number 2, I think being honest in this situation, I would definitely have conversation with guy number 1. And then I feel like the number 2 should know every single detail as well. It should be like a very honest conversation among like those
All
three
right.
people.
All right. You told both of them. They know all the details. Now, what is your choice?
No, there is no choice. I'm like, yeah, that number 2 is already there. I mean, like you cannot just break up with a person based on something what
Okay.
happened
So
in
you're
the
saying
past.
you would hear out guy number 1's story and never talk to him again?
No, there is conversation. We're definitely going to be the relationship maintained, but not on the romantic level.
Oh,
It's going to be definitely as a friendship.
Red
So-
flag.
Why? Like I have an ex, right? And we have a great like relationship in a sense that we don't hang out together very often, maybe like once per year, right? I know and I met his partner as well. He knows like my previous partner, and we literally like friends. And nothing happened. We just broke up nicely. And I don't think that when it comes to breaking up, like people need to hate each other and like just only talking shit on each other. I feel like with the time, if you chose that person, right? At one point you were attracted to this person, and you need to maintain like the best relationship ever.
Okay, you would friend zone guy number 1 and you would
Yeah.
keep married to guy number
Yeah.
2.
Yeah.
All right, got your answer. It took fucking
No,
forever to
I'm so
draw it out
sorry.
of you.
It's a difficult question.
Okay, I have my answer now too. Okay.
Okay.
I would break up with both people because I don't think it would be fair to girl number 2 if I did get married and I had feelings for another person. So I would break up with them both and I'd make them fight for my love. Whoever wins gets to keep me forever.
What do you mean by fight?
Like a battle to the death?
No.
Like I'm choosing the strongest
Like-
one. You know, like
Yeah,
back
like
in time when they were like just
I-
killing the weak people.
yeah,
Keeping
like
the strong one.
like in
the Roman
joust.
Empire.
Joust would be good, but no, I was thinking more like Roman gladiator, right?
Yeah.
The lions coming out. Oh my bad. The lions coming out and my bad, guys. Yeah. Anyways, so no, I would break up with them both, and I would give it like 6 months to a year of being single. I'd be like, look, I don't know in this situation, right? It's too soon. I was in love with you just 2 years ago, you know? And if I get married, then I would have feelings for someone that just came back into the world. I think girl number 2 would already have a super advantage. Like all the feelings would be lost right there for girl number 1. But I think that break period of like saying, look, I got 2 girls fighting for me right now, and both of them, like, I was married to this one that is technically my wife still, right? But so I would just take the break and then let them fight for my love and affection and tell me why I should pick one or the other.
And if they're smart, then they'll just leave you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say you'll probably lose both in that scenario.
And I think that when you said that the second girl already has advantage because there is no feeling for the first one, it's not right. Because, for example, if the person is missing and you have no idea what's going on, in your head you create the story, how it could be and why it happened. The only reason why I'm saying that, so my dad died in a car accident when I was 6 years old. So my mom literally, she went through a very similar situation when he was, like before that he was in a coma, then eventually like he died, right? So when you lose somebody, you don't move on quickly, but if you end up like just meeting somebody and like you're with another partner, the idea of another person, it's kind of like something very secretive and something very intimate as well. And people don't move on, and they don't even like when they meet another partner, they're still gonna have this like fairy tale in their head how it could be if this person still were with me in that case.
Going
So-
to your point, sorry,
But
No, you're fine.
she also said there would be hella feelings. So me breaking up and being single for a while, maybe. Okay, go ahead.
So, for your answer, if I was in the
Girl,
person 1 or 2's
right.
position, and you're conflicted and you want to take a break, I wouldn't wait around and I wouldn't compete with the other person. If that's what you want to happen, I would just move on to the next person. So I think in your scenario, you'd lose both. So I mean I think that's how.
that is a very good point. You could very well lose both, and that's a highly probability. But at the same time, like, if it's a no-brainer for you and you just make that decision like that, then cool.
So okay.
But if it's not a no-brainer, it's like, how do you pick if it's not a no-brainer?
I think there's also a scenario with that answer. If you're into it, maybe they both want to be in a relationship with you. And if you're into,
Oh, plot twist.
I think if you gamble,
No, I just think both of them are already in like they both want my love already, right?
Sister wives.
yeah.
I don't know.
I love this for you.
I'm gonna be a sheikh, with like
Monday wife, Tuesday
Saudi
wife,
Arabia. Yeah,
Wednesday wife.
I've got like legions of just.
Yeah, but are you going to
wives.
be making enough money to take care
I
of
was
all
about
these
to say
women?
so.
Yeah, I'm gonna be a
And all
multi-billionaire.
these kids?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'll be a multi-billionaire. It's no big deal. Okay. So you guys know that Miley, she works kind of like in the legal background, right? I'm wondering if somebody gets cheated on, what's the very first thing that you should do?
As far as
Like, you want a divorce and you get cheated on. Like, what's the first thing you do?
I mean, California is a no-fault state, so cheating doesn't matter. The only time that cheating matters in a divorce is if the person's spending a bunch of money cheating.
Oh, I just saw this the other day. That was very interesting.
Yeah, so if you can prove that, they're paying for hotels and flights and things like that to cheat on their significant other or their spouse, then you can get reimbursed. It's the community is the marriage, so you can get reimbursed for all the money that was spent, as long as you can prove it.
Okay.
I was going to ask, how do you enforce that? How do you?
Bank account statements, things like that.
And for example, if the person who was cheating makes less than another person who didn't cheat. So is the person who with the less income still responsible to pay everything back?
Yeah, so it's not necessarily, it's a community. So everything that's in the community estate, everything that they own together
Yeah.
through the marriage, it gets divided. So since one person owes the other one, they take more of the community if they're owed.
Okay, so
that.
let's say they don't owe any assets. In that case, for example, we're talking about the properties rental. Let's say the cars are rental as well, because I feel like in like modern society, so many people they have the rental mentality, so they don't own like pretty much anything. So and we're literally talking only about the numbers and about the salary as well. If the person who cheats makes less money and the person who doesn't cheat makes more, is the person who cheats still responsible for any payback
Yes.
and any reimbursement?
Yeah, so you'd make the calculation for what the reimbursement is,
Uh-huh.
and then the person it's basically like a debt that they'd have to pay.
Okay, I got my
And is
answer.
it some-
I didn't want to go too deep into that, Anna. Like, I mean, she's not here to answer legal questions, but that was just like one question. I'm like wondering, like, it happens so often, right? What's like the first thing to do? So the first thing to do is just like understand that it's a no fault state. Like, there's nothing really to do. But if she's been taking money from you, then it's like a
Or he.
I was just about to say hello.
Okay. Going back to that first question, because that first question's kind of already dead. Like, we beat that shit. But what would you do if you were the first person or second person in that scenario? And then we can move on from this. But like, what would you do? The person you're,
Oh, we're back to the first question about
Yeah.
that somebody
I'd
dead
leave.
come back.
yeah.
I'd leave. I think it was you that mentioned something about like not fighting or like not competing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
I would never
wouldn't
want to
compete.
compete.
Okay, so that's a fucked up situation that you should just walk away from.
I wouldn't walk
I
away.
think that if I was a second person and the person I fell in love with, and that first person that disappeared came into the picture, and the person I was in a relationship with started entertaining that, I'm not going to stick
Okay,
around for
what
that.
she would entertain it. She already admitted to that. So
Yeah.
entertaining is anything more than having something past that first conversation of like, yo, what happened? Where'd you disappear to? Or even that first conversation.
You know, I think that I would be willing to let my girlfriend or whatever the
Without
relationship
you.
is, you can have that conversation. You know, I understand it's a significant person in your life. You know, you want to catch up on the story and all that, but I wouldn't stick around if that person continues even a friendship. You know, seeing them consistently. I don't.
Okay,
I'm not
okay.
with that.
That's a good answer. I like
I wouldn't
that.
stick around because I think there's other things that factor into it too. Like, does he have somewhere to live now? Like, does she have to support him in any kind of way? So I think like I would just walk away.
You gotta tighten that shit super hard.
I
Like
was trying
hold it up
to,
and have him tighten it really hard.
He did.
Yeah. You gotta like tighten it really, really hard.
It just like falls. Yeah.
Let's just switch the mics because I don't want to keep fiddling with that shit and
Sorry.
nobody's using this one. So actually, let me just fix it real quick. Okay, I want to ask Anna a question real quick while we're fiddling with this. This is a good question for you. So, and then you have to repeat the question for me.
Okay.
What if you hated your best friend's, your partner's best friend?
If I hated my
Yeah,
partner's
they
best
were
friend.
like somehow toxic as fuck, right? And
So,
you really didn't like them.
so I'm a strong believer that the person is there.
Wait, repeat the question for me.
So what I would hate, no. So how would I react, or what I would do if my partner's best friend wasn't somebody I didn't approve?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm a strong believer that we are the combination of 5 people we talk to in our entire life. So if the best friend is somebody I cannot tolerate, so it means that technically my partner is exactly the same person, plus minus like certain personality traits.
Right.
So yeah, that's my opinion.
So if they're hanging out in toxic and engaging in toxic behavior, they're just being just like their best friend. They're just not telling you
Yeah.
about it, but like, I don't want them hanging out because that's exactly what they're going to be doing. If
So-
he's doing that, his friend's doing that, he's doing that, and I'm not no dummy, right?
So I'm like very easygoing when it comes to hanging out options. For example, if you want to go to Vegas for a weekend, go ahead. I'm giving green light. And I will never say like, oh, I want to go with you.
Oh yeah, and
Or
go
like
and
something
pay
like
for
that.
a few prostitutes and you'll never know about it? Sure.
So I think like cheater is always cheater. If he wants to cheat, he's gonna cheat. Even while I'm taking shower, he's gonna go to the grocery store and just like find somebody. Like I'm exaggerating, but it's true. And I know that people who actually go on
Aren't
the
you
trips
Eastern
and they're gone.
European girls like real like protective of their men? Like they don't want them to leave their sight. You sending your man to Vegas just unattended?
So-
Like isn't that really contrary to your whole culture?
I'm not traditional Eastern European woman, but I would say that as far as my
You sound
culture,
like one.
as far as like my culture, I would say that majority of women, they are overprotective. Only one reason, because they're insecure. Since they're stay-at-home moms, they don't work, they don't do anything, and they know that there is no options to provide for themselves, and they don't know how to do anything outside the household. So as for me, since I have the experience of moving on my own, making things work, and I have very comfortable and good life, so I feel very comfortable just letting another person do whatever they
so
want to
that
do.
means that you would want to be in a relationship where your guy gives you that freedom too, right?
So yes, because I know that even having that freedom doesn't mean that I'm going to be wild. And even like based like on something what I experienced in the past, I always had my limitations. And even like since childhood, my mom like never checked my homework. She literally was telling me, if you don't want to go to school, you don't have to go to school. Like we had a lot of freedom going on, and literally I graded school with the high honors. So I knew that if I have freedom, I actually perform the way how I want to, and I know that I have standards. But for example, if we are talking about the limitations, right, that's where I feel like I'm in the cage, and I cannot just like be myself.
Okay, that's a good answer. Okay, Jay, I know that you should let your person be free, but what are some boundaries that you're like, okay, no, you're not
I wouldn't
doing.
be okay with my girlfriend, if it's a serious relationship, going on a girls' trip to Vegas, because I know what goes on there. I know the kind of guys that are there.
Miami too? Like,
Yeah, I am protective, and I'm not controlling. I will, say, hey, I'm not okay with you going on a girls' trip to Vegas because I know what goes on there. And I heard someone say it's like, if I'm in a serious relationship and I really love this girl, it's like I'm not gonna put them in a position or be okay with putting them in a position where they're susceptible to, maybe a multimillionaire
To
there
me,
that has
coming
like
up
all
and
the
saying-
charisma,
exactly.
I don't know what's there. And if it's important to her too, if the relationship's important, I think she would respect that. And if she, says, fuck that, like I'm gonna do what I want, like I'm
I-
having a girls' trip. Okay.
I want to get
that's
back.
fine.
I want to get back to your question, but I want to ask this Anna first. So you're out in this scene in Vegas on your
Yeah.
girls' trip. Your husband's at home, right? And a guy like me, a billionaire at this time in my life, right? It's like, you're so beautiful. Come to our section. You come to his section, right?
What does section
Obviously,
means?
like table or whatever.
Oh, okay.
Right? You're with your girlfriends and stuff, and he's like, "Oh, let me take care of these drinks. Don't worry about it. Oh, I got this penthouse. Don't even worry about it." You guys are thinking, free ride. This is fun, right? That billionaire has bad intentions, Anna. He wants to fuck you.
So, okay. I feel like people who know me, since my previous relationship lasted for 2.5 years, right? So I will say one thing. When I'm taken, so I still going to be smiling and bubbly myself, but I set the boundary right away when it comes to how people can talk to me and what the intentions are and how far we can go. For example, if, for example, the guy approaches me, right, and we have the conversation, I see that it's not the friendly conversation. He definitely flirts with me and he wants something more, and I'm not interested. You will see it. It's going to be like really like written
Like,
on
I
my
just
forehead.
painted a scenario for you that you'd be stupid as a girl with your girls' trip with your best friends to say no to, and you wouldn't say no to it. Let's be honest.
I had similar situation. I was saying no. And I would say Orange County.
You
is
wouldn't
quite
wouldn't say
full of people
no
like
to
that.
some billionaire that's attractive. He's got more charisma than your boyfriend. He's a way higher echelon dude than your boyfriend. I mean, the chances are that you might just slip because of the attraction that's there.
I had similar situation. That's the point. That's why I know how I act and what's going was like actually the outcome at the end.
You had a billionaire at your
Yeah.
disposal
Yeah.
that wanted to be with you
in the
and you
late
said no.
30s, yes. And my boyfriend was exactly the same, like in the late 30s.
Okay,
And
well,
in my
good-
relationship,
good
like,
for that relationship, and I'm glad you passed the test. But like Jay said, I'm putting boundaries on certain things that I'm just willing not to really go there. So now that scenario, right?
Oh, okay.
How
I
would
was
you
just like,
feel
what's going on?
if you found your girl in the section of some billionaire?
After I
In a penthouse,
after
actually.
I express my opinion on that, and me saying, hey, I don't think that's going to be a good scenario for either of us.
Yeah,
And she does it anyways.
yeah. Okay, so you're breaking up. Anna
Yeah.
said, I wouldn't even go with the billionaire to the penthouse if I know he wanted to fuck me, right? That's what you're saying, right? You're saying you wouldn't go with him. And so, but if you did, like your boyfriend's like, no, I'm breaking up with you. I told you no. And and so you're in that situation, and this is an extreme example, right?
Yeah.
But I feel like as a girl, you are beautiful, and so are you. And you, right? You'll be put in situations where you'll be tempted. And as us guys, we're like, damn, I wish I was in that situation, right? But like, we're in a relationship, and if you're over here in scenes where these guys are lusting over you, I'm not comfortable at all. Like, sorry,
Someone,
peace, deuces.
someone gave the analogy of like, if you had a McLaren, you love this McLaren, you trust the locks, but you're not going to park it in the middle of Compton. Like,
Right,
people are going to try
exactly.
and break into it.
Right,
Exactly. I wouldn't put my girlfriend or someone that I really love in a situation like that. Like, I'm protective of someone that's significant in my life. Like, I'm not going to be okay with putting her in a situation where guys are going to try and hit on her. And the type of guys that are in Vegas, a lot of people are very capable, guys with a lot of money, guys that are very charismatic, very good with their words. I wouldn't be okay with that.
It's mostly like the money too. Like there are guys out here that are really billionaires, and that's
Yeah,
like
but no
Yeah.
one gives a fuck. I think that you guys think
Yeah,
that
I
women
was about
really
to say
care
so.
about
okay, but
men
he,
being
he
billionaires.
I said
No
billionaires.
one
That's not
cares.
what Jay said though. Jay put
It
it
could
in
be
different
any
ways.
range. Maybe it could be someone that, you know, seems more capable. I don't know. It doesn't have to be money
That's
exactly.
fair, but like I'm not gonna fuck some guy because he has money. Like that.
You say that now, but I
I say
highly
that.
doubt it
I'm
if you
from
were
Miami.
actually in a
I've been
situation.
in
About
these
to say, so look at
situations
her.
many of times.
She
I am
probably
from
has
Miami.
experience.
Since the time I could go to a club,
I
I've
think
been
if
in
he was
sections.
charming enough to not come at you with like, I'm this billionaire, I'm so rich, and throw money at your face like
No, but
fucking
they all do
disrespectful.
the
If he's
same.
charming, no. If he's got real charisma and charm, he will use that money in a way which will come off appealing and not repulsive.
But it won't, because I know that he does that all the time. But also, if I'm in a relationship, I'm not worried about some guy that has money. Like it doesn't.
Some
So-
guy
doesn't
that
matter.
could really change the course of your girl's trip, right? Like this
It's
is
a
a
fucking trip.
this is a hypothetical
Yeah, but
extreme
can I just say
situation.
that, like, me and my girls, if we're going on a trip, like, we're not staying at the Motel 8. You know what I
Yes,
mean? Like,
yeah,
we're not
I
at the
was about
Motel
to say
6,
so.
whatever it is. Like, we're at a nice hotel. Like, we're having nice dinners. Like, and in no way do I need some man to like bankroll my trip, because we've already bankrolled it ourselves.
Okay, got you.
That's what
But if you
Jim-
happen to get lucky enough to be put in a scenario which was desirable to you, not even the one I'm painting, that's like
Yeah.
some first thing that came to my mind shit, but something
So
desirable to you.
Can I tell you the last time I went to Vegas though? Okay, so I was with my sister-in-law's friend. It was the three of us. We went into this club knowing that we were going to find some people. We were going to sit in their section. We were going to drink their drinks and we were going to leave. And that's what we did. We walked into a club. We scoped it out. We said, okay, we're going to try to sit over there. We sat there. We drank. We talked. We chatted. And at the end of the night, we all left.
You and every other
and I
fucking
didn't
girl.
fuck anybody.
You and every other girl.
and they
all-
didn't either.
and
I
a
didn't
lot
even
of-
exchange numbers.
And a lot of these girls do the same and get free drinks, and they all do the same thing, right? But there does come a point where you're put in a kind of tempting situation. I didn't
it wasn't
say
tempting.
go to a club in Miami and get free drinks and leave. I said you met a billionaire that said, come up to my penthouse. We got some promoters throwing some amazing Halloween party.
No, I don't know. Me personally, I just don't care. Like, and I don't care to fuck someone that I don't know, that I just met in a club.
So, okay, I'll place it this way. So I know that when it comes to the relationship, I'm attracted to established men. So I do have a sort of
Billionaire, established.
So I know that my partner is already established.
As your partner is not a billionaire, established. You meet
But
this
at the
billionaire
end of
that
the
is
day,
way
so,
higher in
you know,
income
when
than
it
your
comes to
boyfriend.
having a billion or having like a million or whatever people are making when they can have a comfortable lifestyle, at the end of the day, you go to the same restaurant.
Yeah, you're right. Like
go
after
to the
like
same
after like
places.
5 million, it doesn't really even
Yeah,
change
that's what I'm
things.
saying. Like literally the lifestyle remains the same. So I do remember you asked me a question about the traditional roles when it comes to the Eastern European society. I would place it this way. That's why probably I choose to make myself comfortable. So in this case, I will not base my decision on money and finances. Like I literally base
Okay,
my decisions on how I feel
I
about this
do
person.
I do get what you're saying. Like at a
I think
certain
Miley had something to say. We've been cutting her off.
Yeah, Miley, go ahead. You got to jump in. We're gonna be rude about this.
How strong is your relationship if it can't be tested and you can withstand that test? If you have your girl go to a place and she's gonna meet some guy, there's a risk that she's gonna meet some guy that's more charming than you, whatever.
Meet a guy at the grocery store.
How strong is your relationship if you think that that's gonna happen?
Your relationship is only as strong as your options,
I don't believe that.
especially for a girl, because girls always are trying to
I
level
don't
one
think
up.
so. Omid, you have
Guys-
this terrible
no,
like
guys
I have
will
something
view
to say
of
about
women.
guys will go to
exactly
the
what I
death
thought.
for their girl in the grave, but girls they want to
I
level
think
up.
generally, women are hypergamous. They date across and up, and they're not going to date down. So that's a problem that I would have with, if this is a serious relationship. If it's early stages and this girl isn't, we're just starting to date, I'm not going to impose that on her. But if it's a serious relationship, and she wants to do a girls trip, go to Vegas, go to Miami, there's a good chance that she accidentally comes across someone that is better, and maybe those gears start turning and it changes the relationship. And if it's really important to her and she doesn't respect that, and she goes anyways, the relationship isn't that important.
So
I wouldn't stick around.
question, for example, you have the best friend who's getting married and it's a boys' night out. Literally happens once for 5 years. And will you say that, hey, I'm not going to the bachelor party because I'm supposed to be with my girlfriend 24/7? Because we're in the relationship where I wouldn't say you cannot trust because you need to be with this person all the time and you're already committed to each other. So my point of view when it comes to the trips, because I already know the answer. I'm sorry, I'm just like cutting you off without trying to say like, so my point of view when it comes to the girls' nights out, if it happens every single Friday, Saturday, you have an issue. If it happens once in a while because my best friend has birthday, I'm sorry, I'm going to go to Vegas.
I got something to say too about this. Okay, Jay already stated his point, okay? He is saying it in the most logical way that a rational male would. And to add to that, a dude with options, right? So he knows what he's talking about. I think that I don't want to be 100% this like dictator to tell you what to do with your life, right? I want you to already be that way and know that. But like, here's the one caveat. If you ask my permission.
There is definitely should be conversation. It's not like,
permission.
Permission, like, may I please go?
May I go, daddy?
No.
May I fucking go, daddy? That's permission.
Question. He needs to answer the question though.
Yeah,
if you were going on a bachelor party and it was you and 10 other guys and you were going to Vegas, would that be acceptable?
For me?
Yeah, for you to go.
If I'm in a really serious relationship, I'm married, I wouldn't put myself in that position either.
Really?
really?
You
Yeah.
wouldn't go to the bachelor party?
I would be like,
It's
go.
tough. Like, it depends on what stage of life. Like, if I'm in my 20s, I don't know.
But you're like 35.
And what if your
this is
wife was
best
like, I'm
friend.
super uncomfortable about this?
Yeah, if she's not okay with it and she expresses how much it's gonna bother her, she's more important than going to a bachelor party and getting intoxicated on the weekend. Like,
I feel like
No.
that's
I
not
feel like
okay
you
in a
just got
relationship.
your
I feel like
answer.
you have
Okay,
to, like,
so
So have
No,
you
no,
heard about the different type of attachment style, like anxious, avoidant, and normal?
Yeah.
So majority of the time, people that have either avoidant, I'm sorry, but I feel like you have it when you told me that when you, based on your first
I got a
question
whole
and
list of
answer,
conditions for
when
you, baby.
You know, like when you were saying that, you know what, like two people, I'll just walk away. So because I don't want to deal with that. So it's avoidant attachment style in a sense that you would
Okay,
rather
Dr.
run
Phil.
away than actually deal with the problem and discuss it. There is also anxious attachment style. You have very, like, I feel like anxious approach. I had exactly the same. I was dealing with a psychologist in the past after my previous breakup. So anxious attachment style is when people, they actually overthink and they don't feel like they're, how to say it, they're on the level when they can trust without any, like, just how to explain it and not being crude.
I wouldn't say that would be coming from insecurity or anything like that. It's just more coming from a protective side.
So,
like, I'm protective of my girl. Like, if I really love her and she really loves me, I'm gonna communicate that with her and say, hey, I think
But
this.
does
You're
trust
putting
not
yourself.
go into that?
So I was about to say so, and that's exactly, if, for example, the people who are anxious,
I'm
they
just
always think
genuinely
about
curious.
possibility, what might be if, for example, there is another option and they don't feel comfortable and they don't feel at ease knowing that their partner is somewhere else. As I mentioned, that if it happens as a reoccurring occasion, definitely people should talk. But if it happens once in a while because it's a special occasion and the partners, they need to go like different, like spend the weekend apart, I think it's healthy to actually have that break. First of all, it's going to to make your relationship stronger because you have something to talk about. Also, you have a comparison in a sense that, you know what, I spent the weekend with you, also spend the weekend with my girls as well. Both of the weekends are fun, but at the same time, like it's a different type of fun.
Yeah,
So
I'm not
2
against.
hours later.
I'm not against a girl's trip, but I'm against where the destination is. If this group of girls want to go traveling through Europe and experience different restaurants and do that,
Sounds fun.
I'm all about it. Absolutely. But if it's like,
and it would be even better if I paid for it.
yeah, I'm totally okay with that. But if it's to Vegas or Miami where that's just what goes on there, I'm not okay with that. And I stand by that. Like, I'm going to be protective of my girlfriend or my wife. Like, I'm not okay with her putting herself in that situation. If her friends are all single and they're, doing their own thing, like, just like you said earlier, you become the average of the people you surround yourself. That's going to rub off.
But at the same time, you already probably know your girlfriends as well.
No, Anna, we're done with that question, okay? We got our answer from the gentleman, with such a good answer, straight to the point. He would not be comfortable with it. You got your answer. That's the end of that. All right. Why are women okay? Why are women okay admitting that they're crazy, but men would never admit that. Like in public, women could admit, I'm crazy, but men would never admit that.
Oh, I don't admit that I'm crazy.
Oh, so you are crazy. I knew it.
No, but
Just fell into my trap, guys.
as for me, when it comes to the craziness, so most of the time people label, oh, this is crazy, this is crazy, this is crazy, describe crazy.
No, like, have you ever seen girls on TikTok and be like, I'm Latina, I'm crazy, right? Like, they'll admit
I
that,
haven't watched those
right?
videos.
Like, so, like, women are
I know
more
what you mean.
susceptible to openly admit their craziness, but men do not say that publicly.
Because
Why?
men always want to pretend like they're not.
Is it
they
more?
want-
Is it
it's
more
to-
of a pretend thing? So you think it's not like?
It's a manipulation thing. It's part of that, 100%. They want you to think that they are nice guys, that they're good, decent people.
So
Maybe-
what
but
does
the
it
thing
mean
is-
crazy? Can you like, because yeah, so I'm from another country. For me, when I translate it to my language, crazy, it means like you're freaking
can you
insane
elaborate on
and you're
what
not
that
okay. You're not like,
looks
it's
like?
not safe to be around you. That's my definition of crazy.
Like,
So what like
I
I
just-
think when you talk about like Latin women, right? Like
Yeah,
I think
Latin
that just
women.
it's more like overprotective and like not allowing your partner to go to Colombia on a guy's trip, or if you
Yeah, that's a
go
good point,
out with
actually.
your friends, like, oh, I want to come too, or calling multiple times throughout the day, you know, to check in.
you said protective, so is that what it boils down to? Is crazy mean protective?
I mean, it depends on how you're accepting it.
I'm
right?
just
Like,
saying that,
how
like,
you-
why do women feel the lack of accountability to be like, I'm like, they'll admit I'm crazy in a
that's
relationship.
not lack of accountability.
Yeah.
That's letting you, if they're telling you that they're crazy,
That's like telling you the truth.
Telling
I
you
think
like
that's taking accountability.
Taking
Yeah.
accountability.
Like owning it.
telling
Oh,
you what
okay.
you're getting
Being
yourself
honest.
into.
Oh yeah, you guys are right.
But at the same
100%.
time, from my experience,
Right.
men and women are both crazy. It's just more socially acceptable
for women
for
to
women
say
to
it
say
out
because
loud.
everyone says women are emotional.
Yeah.
But men are
Very
very, crazy
emotional. Yeah.
and very emotional.
They're very emotional.
So it seems okay because women's natural predisposition is to be the more emotional side. So that's why it's
That's
okay
not
for
our
them.
predisposition. That's what's socially.
I was gonna say that's what's
accepted.
shown in like TV shows and like movies and things like that. So I think that
Okay, that was a tough question. I'm just gonna skip it to the next one. There was no right or wrong answer to that one. Okay. What determines when you let your guard down with somebody that you like?
that's a good question.
Like what determines when you let it down?
I don't know, because I always feel like when I let it down, then that's when
Like,
I'm
do you let
supposed
it
to,
down right away before you even met
No.
them on Tinder? Just like, my guard's all the way down.
I think now,
Definitely not. Early.
no, people.
You have to meet them. Is it off the first interaction? Is it the first 3 months?
I was
Is
about
it,
to say, I think you need 3 good months, honestly, to like go through a few different situations with someone to see how their behavior in those different situations.
What would you guys say? Do you let it down right away? Damn, you're sexy. My guard's all the way down.
Definitely
So-
not. I've done that early in like my dating, and it's just,
Always
I think
a
it's
bad
a
idea, right?
huge turnoff for girls. I think that
Really?
Oh, because they want the
yeah.
chase, right?
Yeah, and I think girls like mystery, and if you
Mm-hmm.
kind of unload everything too early, it's like, okay, well,
He likes me, game over.
yeah.
Wait, so then how has that affected you afterwards? Like, do you feel like then you like pretend to be more of like an asshole after that?
No.
Or like not asshole, but like how does that affect
No, but
it?
there is no after. Like the question was, is
Well,
how
the next
soon?
in my
girl,
experience, like if I give too much, like in the first date or two, it's like she kind of, I let her in a little bit over time, slowly, you know. And I don't. I've learned that I want to keep things kind of to my own. I'm not transparent right away, you know.
You give her bits and pieces of
Yeah.
what she wants.
I'll always be open and honest, absolutely from the start. But I'm not.
What if
just
she's
gonna-
starting to ask you too many questions right away? Like to really delve into, you want to keep it, you want to give her bits and pieces of the mystery of your personality, right? You don't want to give her everything and just like give it to her all in one sitting. What do you do when she's asking the questions that like, I mean, or is that okay
Deflect.
just to get into the core of your, I don't know,
deflect,
Yeah,
mirror.
yeah.
I
Mirror, deflect, yeah,
answer the question with a question.
right. So,
But not to, I won't do that like to be an asshole or anything like that. Like,
You're
I
doing
think
it because
early on, I won't fill her in on everything. I won't give her my whole life story. I think that slowly, bit by bit, is.
I
But
take
at
that.
what
the
point
best
does
way.
that come as like playing games? I'm not saying that you're
not playing
playing games.
games.
No. I don't think that what you're saying is playing games at all. I'm just playing like devil's advocate, right? Because like sometimes you do meet someone and there is this very strong connection that you have. And so like then part of you feels like, oh, I should probably like hold back. But like what if the other person isn't holding back?
So
Like,
that's
at
the whole
what
question
point
is the guard.
do you-
At what point do you let your guard down, right?
Yeah.
Depends on the situation. I had the situation when literally took me months. I had the situation when it took me like a couple of weeks. Depends on how much
What-
time
what
you
did
spend
it depend
together.
on?
Also,
Okay.
like how much conversation you had. And I would say that sometimes people say, "Oh, you know what? I've been in a relationship for 10 years." But they barely communicated on the level where they could understand each other, and there is still barrier between them. Sometimes people were dating for 6 months, and they were so open with each other, and they were able to understand each other on a completely
What
different
is that?
level.
Can you define being so open with each other? What does that mean?
So I'm all about communication. I feel like something what I addressed in our
you're
previous
gonna
podcast.
you're gonna go on the girls trip, and I'm gonna break up with you. That's how open we are about our communication.
So something I feel like what we were discussing like 2 weeks ago when I was here for the first time. So I'm attracted to intelligent people. So intelligence is something what I'm just going crazy about, right? So crazy. See, I
Crazy.
admit it.
You just bust into multiple orgasms thinking about how smart he is.
So I am attracted to somebody who we have the meaningful conversation, and when we're sitting at the restaurant, and it's not like we're like filling the gaps and oh yeah, this fish is amazing. Oh gosh, I love seabass. No, just when you really don't even notice how time passes by. So, and that's the signal that okay, like you have so much in common, you can share and talk about everything. And I had, for example, with one guy, I had about like 4 or 5 dates. He was amazing. Like really, everything.
Let me guess,
you
he was a
heard-
great listener.
probably.
Such an ass.
So at the end of the day, I don't think that we like knew each other on the level we felt comfortable sharing about a lot of things, because there was very there was conversation on the surface, and I don't think with that person I would be able even like to just reveal what's going on besides like me being like, oh yeah, everything is cool, and be kind of like the smile. So I would say there are so many factors. Like some people, they make you open up right away, and they are very natural, like good, like psychologists in a sense that you trust them. Sometimes like you know person forever and you still like in your own shell.
Right. No, that's a good point, actually. So, like, the whole back to your deflecting and then back to yours of like the conversation just flows perfectly, right? So, yeah, keep it a mystery, and deflecting is good. And also asking a lot of questions so that she talks about herself is good too. But the whole idea of letting your guard down, that's a different, there's the aspect of like your heart is at play now, right? So
Yeah.
what does that mean, letting your guard down? We should define that.
I think it takes time, at least personally. If the girl I'm with wants to give me her whole life story first date, she's not entitled to me doing the same thing. Like, I'm not going to do that. I'll give her maybe a little bit, but it takes me time for me to let my
Okay,
guard down, be fully vulnerable,
but
and like
she's
open
got
and
to
honest.
help you with that. She's got to show you signs of you letting your guard down. Like for you to let your guard down with a guy, I think I kind of got it figured out a little bit. He's got to be a great listener and have a sense of humor to make you laugh.
Listener, at the same time, I like to learn. I'm like have the student mentality. So in a sense that we exchange the information, and also at the end of the day, I get something useful.
Okay, so you would let your guard all the way down for that guy? Noted. All right, what would it take for you to let your guard down?
I think establishing this is someone that I could see myself spending more time with. If this person checks off enough boxes that, okay, this girl is someone I could have a relationship with and be more open about things that have gone on in my life, things that have brought me to where I am now. But it's hard to say if there's a specific point. Like it just.
Okay,
It could
I'm
be
gonna just say
it could be
this. I
months.
feel like if she's not gonna have any interaction with other men, that does make me put my guard down. Like I'm like, she's all about me and only me.
Yeah, I would
I
agree
could
with
put
that.
my guard down.
If she's not seeing other guys and we're seeing each other exclusively, I am more open to letting her in more. But if she's out seeing other guys, I'm not going to do that.
So, but you won't let your guard down at that fact right away, right? Like, oh, she's not seeing any other guys. That doesn't mean I'm putting my guard down right away now. Like, what else does it take to put your guard down? You kind of elaborated a little bit. What about you guys? What does it take for you guys to let your guard down? They're not seeing anyone else.
It just depends on how open they are with me. If they're vulnerable with me, then I'll be equally as vulnerable with them.
Can you elaborate more on like your guard? Is that just like not, what do you mean?
I guess like the next level of letting your guard down is like falling in love.
For me, I feel like it's just like a level of comfortability. Is that a word? Comfortable, right? Just being comfortable with someone, right? So for instance, I mean, it ended up crashing and burning, right? But like with my husband, we were engaged within 6 months. Like within the first 30 days, like we had our first date and we saw each other every day for 30 days after that. Like we were very vulnerable with each other. We were very open, honest. We communicated a lot. And so within 6 months, we were like, okay, like this is it. So I think it just depends. But I've met other people that I've gone on multiple dates with them and it stayed at the surface level, right? Like I've known people for a guy for at least like 2 years before I had dated my husband that like I liked him, he liked me, but like a conversation, like I just didn't feel comfortable around him. So I think it just depends on the person.
What about people in general? You know, like there's all kind of crazy people, right? How do you decipher from the first 5 seconds of meeting somebody, there's some kind of like feeling you get? How do you decipher feelings with strangers too, of letting your guard up or down with people?
I think in my case, it's probably on the energy level. You just feel it. For example, yesterday.
Like
with my
dogs, I feel like
coworkers-
can notice the
yeah,
energy
and I feel like
a lot
everybody
with
smells the
expressions.
energy as well. Yeah. For example, yesterday with my coworkers. So we ended up like just staying late, like very like we were talking about like business, then we were talking about some other things. But long story short, so there were like 2 girls. I met them at the same time because they would be been with the company forever. I joined not a long time ago. So with one of them, I feel very comfortable sharing about a lot of things because she has very welcoming personality and very like friendly. Where
Welcoming
you feel,
personality.
Yeah, you know, like when you feel comfortable, just open up and you know there is no judging going on. For example, you know, you share about something and the person just, okay, like that's your part, that's your choice, that's cool. And another person, incredible, sweet, such a sweet girl, like very, very sweet. But I feel like even when she doesn't say anything, you can read like there is a judgmental opinion. Maybe it can be addressed in the future, maybe it's not, but you definitely see the people that don't accept you for who you are. And we at the point of of our lives, at least like, okay, like just, I will talk about myself. I know that I will never change. I can definitely compromise things in my relationship to make sure that my partner feels comfortable because we are all different and we have different stories, different background, we have different things what triggers us. But at the end of the day, that's my personality. And I know that you either take it or you leave it.
Going back to the girl that you connected with, right? You mentioned something too, Miley. You said how vulnerable they are with me. Did she share anything with you that you said she was so sweet? Why was she so sweet?
So that's exactly, you know, like somebody is like nice. Okay, can it I'm going to say something.
Yeah,
Don't take
go
it
for
personal.
it.
For example, with 2 girls, I think I will connect with you more than with you. Just being honest. You feel it on the energy level.
Yeah, I think so. There were a couple things that you said. I think there's a lot of things that go into that too, right? I think it's like cultural things. I think that it's also, you mentioned the girl, you felt like judgment. I think sometimes when you feel like people are judging you, I feel like it's because they feel like they're being judged or like they have this like thing, right? When you're more comfortable like with yourself, I think that you're able to be more like welcoming and like opening and like less like judgy, right? Like
Okay, so there's a few things at play. You said, Miley, how vulnerable they are with me and what they're willing to share, right? You guys are talking about like judgmental, like feeling that judgmental feeling from somebody, right?
It's a part of it.
So, I mean, all this translates back to the relationship, right? If you're going to let your guard down with the love of your life, right? They have to kind of meet these things where they're vulnerable with you on a certain level. Can't like give her everything at once, right? And then also like there's no judgment. And then to add that, there's like the loyalty. So I feel like those three aspects are a good kind of starting point to, if you love someone, then show them that, and that would like let their guard down.
That's fair. I think there's just so much that goes into it, like someone's personal like experience before they met you. People bring a lot of like baggage into like their new relationships. So like the way that they go about it is just a product of what they've been through. So if you haven't healed from things, you haven't worked through things, then you'll miss those connections.
Okay, and then to be fair to Miley, like you just met the girl, you already met her, you spent a whole podcast with her, but you don't know if you're gonna connect with her yet.
No, I'm just saying it's literally on the energy level. The same like when you meet guys, sometimes you
And
just
she's
feel
kind
it.
of shy, so she doesn't
Yeah.
talk as much. So that's
100%
why you
she-
might think that. But we could all be like, you know, going on some.
I'm just saying that's when I just said that sometimes you just smell it and you address it like, okay, like dogs, they can smell people. So, and I'm saying that it's not like somebody is good, somebody is bad.
Do you
On
think
the-
you have a
at
good
the end of the
ability
day-
to read people, Anna?
No, I tend to be mistaken.
You tend to be mistaken?
Yeah. And I wouldn't say it happens.
What about you, Jay?
Do people
Read people. Like, if you came across a billionaire, he didn't tell you he was a billionaire. You think you'd know he's a billionaire?
I don't know if I could sense like money, finances as much, but like I have a good judge of character. I can tell pretty quickly if this is if someone that I meet, like a guy, is someone that I could be around. You know,
Like how? I'll give you an example how. But I want you to give me like another one on top of this. I heard go to golf with somebody, right? If they cheat at all in the game, move the ball even a little bit or something, they might really cheat in real life, right?
I never heard about that.
I think people do expose themselves.
Yeah.
They'll show you what their character is.
Yeah. We just choose to look past it.
And one way how you do one thing is how you do a lot of things, right?
We were just talking about, were we recording when we said that? We were talking about
discipline.
discipline.
Yeah.
So I think that, and I carry this with me now, but like, I think that if someone is not disciplined, then it's not someone that you can trust.
I'm in the
It's a
same
huge,
boat
huge
with that. I'm
agree
in
with
a
that.
point in my life where I'm trying to build myself up as much as I can, in my career, you know, relationships, all that stuff. And my time's very limited. So, you know, I'm picking people to build relationships with that are going to elevate me to that next level. Guys that are disciplined, guys that take care of themselves, guys that have a sense of purpose, guys that aren't drifting through life, people that can hold me accountable,
That's a huge
bring me to
thing.
the next level. Like those are the guys I'm surrounding myself with.
Okay.
Going to your point, you know, surround yourself with people that are going to improve you is really important. And I have mentors in my life, guys that, you know, have the kind of life that I want to live. You know, they can help me get there. I'm surrounding myself with older people like that. You know, I think it's really important to learn from guys that have more life experience. And so, you know, I think you'll always improve, surround yourself with people better than you. And that's really what I do.
So we're getting to the question of how do you notice that quicker? How do you notice those people better for you quicker? Like go to the country club that you can't afford, right? There's going to be some retired CEOs there, probably a lot of them, but there's also going to be 100 other old geezers.
But
how do I
doesn't
tell
mean
if
that-
I've improved?
No, how do you tell who the right people that you should be seeking out are? Like people
think
have
you-
characteristics they show you by their discipline, and you can kind of read into their past and their future from that. How do you ask questions quicker to decipher those? Like you said you look at people's discipline. If somebody is like as disciplined as Kobe was, he's probably crazy successful, right? But if you're only as disciplined as like the dude making 100K at his, you
There
know,
are things I pick up on that, you know, I think people do give off like an energy. If someone's more positive, someone, you know, sees the best in things, I can tell just by the way they're talking. You know, there's guys in my office that, you know, they're always complaining like, I'm so tired, you know, the weather's shit, you know, they just complain about little things here and there. I'm almost the opposite, where I'm like, it's raining outside, we needed this, or something like that. Like, you know, I don't.
It gives me a
People that-
funny memory of like I started this job and this guy kept complaining and I was like, bro, I'm the happiest I've ever been to
Yeah.
just be here. Like, shut up with your disappointed
Yeah.
attitude.
You know, guys that are complaining all the time, it's like, dude, you're able to walk. Some people can't walk. Some people can't do
so
the things that you're doing. Like you should be very thankful.
Going
that,
back to like relationships now and deciphering like a male in your life that you want a successful male in your life or a female in your life, right? A good nurturing person that could start a family with. Like, how do you read things off people quicker like that? I feel like you could literally do it in 3 to 5 seconds if you have the skill and the ability to ask one question, see how she responds. Based on that one response she gave, you're done, baby. Like, it's either pass or fail.
So funny. While I was actually driving over here, my girlfriend sent me the picture of the guy like she just saw on Bumble. And as I mentioned, remember we had conversation, my friend, we like look alike pretty much. So the same type of guys, they actually swipe right on us as well, right? And we actually, right now, we do exchange the pictures, like, okay, shall I go on a date or not? Have you went on a date with this guy? If yes, I was like, how was it? I was like, okay, I'm not going. And I'm just canceling my plans. So, okay, long story short. So I was driving over here. She sent me the picture of the guy. I was like, hey, like, just, like, he looks like somebody who might, like, swipe right on you as well. It's like, did you have any conversation with him? Like, what's going on, right? I was like, oh my God, we were supposed to have a date. We had a phone call because I just felt like we had to talk on the phone prior, actually get ready and go on a date. I was like, he's freaking loser.
Oh, so
Like,
like
I
right
would-
away you knew
yes.
that after one conversation.
Yes, and I was like, oh my God, like I wouldn't spend even like any time with him. So long story short, she asked another friend, our common friend. She actually ended up going on a date with him. And she said it was like very horrible, bad date.
Got you. So,
So
sometimes it takes
sometimes you
one
read it.
conversation on the phone. You guys
Yeah.
talk like an hour?
No, it was like 10 minutes. I remember that I was like, oh my gosh, my mom's calling me, you know, like the time difference. So like I will not be able to catch with her later. It was like that. At the same time, it's not like he sounded great, but at the same time, the way how he was bragging about small things in life. And it's so insignificant that why even like bring it up? And also like there definitely would be like follow-up questions from my side. We know that I'm like asking questions. So
So
it
like
just didn't go well.
Yeah, could you? Okay, we don't need to elaborate, but that was a good point. Okay, so maybe not 3 seconds to 5 seconds, definitely a 10-minute conversation, but even faster than that sometimes, right? Like
Yeah.
you should. I feel like a lot of people ignore red flags, and that's why like things are fucked up nowadays, right? But if you could see those red flags and know the red flags right away. So, okay, let's just get to another question. That question really drug on.
That
Like
escalated
every
quickly.
single question today is a little bit on the edge.
Okay, do you agree or disagree with this statement? Only women and children and dogs receive love unconditionally.
Why are we like on the same line?
Men only receive love if they provide value first.
I disagree.
Really?
Yeah.
Elaborate.
So I feel like
Wait. Does anyone else disagree right away?
Can you read that one more time?
Well, what's unconditional love?
The only person who's gonna love you unconditionally
love
is
for
your
something.
mother. Every other type of love comes with conditions.
So unconditionally, should we Google it real quick? Cause
No, go ahead.
let's Google
But I agree with you.
what unconditional.
Yeah.
You
means.
always, I think, you start loving the person the way how you feel around that person. One thing. And also, I feel like when people say, you know what, I just love him for the way who he is. Like he just has very bad habits, but I don't care. No, you just like to play victim, and deep inside you satisfy your needs, and you definitely need to go and just fix your head. Like there is condition why you like that person. Maybe that's why I'm still single.
Okay, so the
I don't
definition
think
of
that's why.
unconditional is not subject to any condition. So that means like let's paint the worst picture. In sickness and in health, right? The person is like in a wheelchair, right? Is that like
So did the person end up being in a wheelchair while you're in the relationship, or you met the person in the wheelchair and you want to establish
no, like
the
after
relationship?
or another thing, cancer or something like unconditional is unconditional, right?
I don't think being in
So-
a wheelchair, I don't think that matters. That has nothing to do with someone's character.
It seemed
for-
like with the cancer, yeah.
Yeah, for me, like unconditional, like love would have to do with like their character, not their physical, anything that has to do with anything physical.
Okay.
Like
So
how you treat the waiter, right? Like how you treat the janitor, how you treat people just in general, how you treat yourselves, how you treat yourself, how you treat me. Do you tell the truth? Do you provide? Are you trying to provide for your family? There's other things. I don't think that
Conditions.
there are conditions. 100%. There's conditions.
So
Miley?
even for women too, like it's not a one-way thing.
But even like for guys as well. So
Like
why
if a
do you
girl
love
got cancer, I mean, and she, like I'd love her till she died, right? But
Okay, so again, example from my story. I was misdiagnosed with cancer a year and a half ago, and my relationship went down the hill. The person wasn't supportive. Thank God, it was misdiagnosed, and I'm fine. Yes, but being honest, a few months of my life, I feel like all my friends and family members, they were just like freaking out and they were shocked. I always had this personality. Okay, we have a problem. We need to deal with the problem. I will not like cry in the corner and just pretend like, oh my gosh, my life is over. No, there was so many ways to actually fix it. But the person I was with wasn't supportive at all.
so
And it's not like support is like, oh my God, babe, I can't believe you're going through that. No, it was a normal conversation. I wasn't freaking out. It was just really something which you understand.
what kind of
that now
support
you
would you
connect.
want in that scenario?
In a sense that
Like
not,
he's healthy, he's single,
Yeah.
he wants to have children,
no, he wasn't
wants
single,
to
he was taken.
no, by you at the time.
At the time, yeah, like we were
But let's
together.
say he was an eligible bachelor, he wanted
Yeah.
children, you know, he was trying to like get married and dedicate his
Yeah.
life to somebody. And there's this sick girl that, you know, there's all these other girls that he's in love with, but he can't progress toward a future life if he's with her. With her, it's I'm her caretaker, not her lover anymore.
So, okay, in this case, if she's not able to actually make it on her own, and there is like
She
some kind of
actually has
autoimmune
cancer, and
disease.
all of the issues with cancer are starting to arise when they barely have been together a few months, and it's the love is really new.
So sometimes the life is still very new. So I feel like she needs to be open about that at the very beginning, so he can make his decision: is he okay dealing with anything like that or not?
It's not fair to him to deal with that. The best idea would be to
It's his
move on
choice.
with another woman that could start a family with.
It's his choice staying or leaving. That's why certain things should be addressed right away. For example, like somebody has kids, and if you go there and just, you know what, I have like 2 kids, it should be addressed on the first date.
What do you guys do in that scenario? You love this person, but it's a new love, and
And they got cancer, or they ended up in a wheelchair.
they got cancer.
They got cancer. So I'm the type of person that I date one person at a time. Like I can't. I think that if you're not dating exclusively, I think that people should date multiple people. I personally don't, but
So I think you asked if there's children involved on the other question. There's no children involved.
if there's no children involved, I mean, I'd probably stay with him if I really enjoyed his company and like we were getting to know each other. Like I don't think that I would walk away from
But
it.
you're in a different scenario. Like if you were in a scenario where you were ready to start a new family all over,
How far along is this relationship?
like maybe a year.
A year.
Yeah.
I'm pretty invested at a year though. I don't know.
Is it a terminal illness?
Yeah,
Like,
terminal.
I'm gonna stick it
Well,
out.
you don't know, to be honest.
That's tough. I don't know.
And
Yeah.
you've gotten past the stage of your life where, you know, the date, like you were ready to have a family.
And also, I think that another person who is sick should like actually have this conversation that I want to have the best for you, blah blah blah, and just etc. Because I know that
I think
had a
they
conversation.
subconsciously know. They know that this
Yeah,
person wants to
100%.
go and have a family. Like
it's-
I'm only holding them back.
So I think that it should definitely people need to communicate where they're at in their lives and what they want. And the person who cannot provide and give what another partner wants, they need to, in my case, like in not my case, like from my point of view, remain friends and let each other go.
But
and it doesn't mean that breaking up,
if
breaking
you
apart,
guys
and
were
etc.
married, there's
Oh, marriage
in
is
love
different.
and sickness and in health. That means you actually have to be that person. Maybe not
The marriage
literal
is different.
caretaker, but like you can't leave, right? That's kind of, but people do.
I think it was
But it's
marriage would be a different story.
different.
Yeah.
I think if I think 1 year is still pretty early in a relationship. Part of me, I wouldn't really know until I'm in this situation, but I think I
Yeah.
might take a step back or something like that. 'Cause
Even-
Miley has
even-
something to say. Quiet.
it's
only.
not, it's nothing I can really control if it's like really terminal, like she has few months. I don't know. It's
It's a tough question.
All right, I'm gonna keep it real with you.
Yeah, please.
I have been in that situation.
I am in that situation.
My boyfriend of 1.5 years ended up getting diagnosed with brain cancer, and he had brain surgery and everything. After that, his personality completely changed, and
Was it because of the chemo? Or no,
they
do
took
they do
out
chemo
like a cup
on
of
that?
his brain. Like they cut out
Oh my
like a lot of his brain.
That's wild.
So it totally changed from being like the person you knew to having like now some condition in his
Well,
personality.
he seemed normal on the outside, but I think mentally it messed with him. And so he was reevaluating his life, how he wanted to spend the remainder of his life.
That's fair.
And he ended up not wanting to be with me, even though I wanted to be there for him. He took a lot of his anger out on me, and he kind of pushed me away. I don't know if he did that to protect me.
Yeah, definitely. At least he was still,
I mean, that's what I want to believe, right?
Yeah,
But in the
totally.
end, we ended up breaking up, and then he
you
called his
shouldn't.
ex-wife. She came back in the picture, took care of him till he passed away.
Really?
Yeah. So it's not always up to you, but yeah.
Would you have wanted to be that woman that took care of him until he passed away?
It's, to be honest with you, it's really tough. It's hard to be a caretaker.
What were you at in that period of your life? Like working already?
Yeah, so
You were done with school?
yeah, I was an attorney already, but we had decided he was from the Netherlands. So we decided to move back to where he was from because he had a good job opportunity out there or whatever.
Was
So
his
we were
first wife in Netherlands too?
No, she was from here, from LA. He moved out here to be with her.
Oh.
Yeah.
She moved
And
to
then-
Netherlands to take care of him.
So he only had like 6 months left to live.
Yeah.
So
So it was very
she went
likely
out there.
that you could have traded places with that woman and you would have been the woman that took care of him until his death. So in that scenario, it's like that's the choice that was made. It's like, all right, I'll stay with you till you die. But
in that scenario, I think it's up to that person what they want. If for me, on my end, yeah, I would have been there for him if that's what he wanted. But I felt like being there was not really what he wanted. So
He was probably trying to protect you. And I think there's also a level of comfort when you've already been married to someone. Like, because you feel like there's not that they have to be there or that they have to take care of you, but you've kind of done these like vows and like, maybe, I don't know.
that's kind of going to my first question, right? The long lost person.
Oh, yeah.
You go
that's
back
true.
to first or the second. You were the second in the sweetheart story.
Oh my gosh, kind of.
well, I guess I left.
Yeah. Right. Okay, but that's
interesting.
yeah. So the whole till death do us part in sickness and in health, right? If you're married, I think it makes sense to
Yeah.
caretake that person,
Yeah.
even if you're not physically doing all the caretaking, because it could probably be taxing and it will like reduce the love. So you maybe want to hire somebody, but like still give her love, even though you're not her lover, right?
I don't follow.
Like
Yeah,
you
so for
give her
example-
love to the day she gets healthy or
Oh, yeah.
or dies. You
Yeah.
give her love, but like, bro, I'm a man. I got needs. You know, I want to have children.
Yeah.
You know, like I got to move on with
yeah.
my life too. I'm not gonna let you stop my life, but I'll still give you love. You know, like it. How much that is, I guess, is
Depends on how much you're willing to sacrifice, how much of yourself you're willing to sacrifice.
and then like, yeah, that's tough because if you're in that scenario where you're the sick person, subconsciously you know, like I can't hold this person back from having children and moving on, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
he's there for me whenever I need him, so it's kind of more of a friendship at that point. Like
Yeah.
Because we had conversation like before I got the results, and I literally said that if, for example, we're gonna go through the, they're gonna run the tests one more time, right? So I literally was honest. Like there is a very low probability I'll be able to come pregnant in the future, and know that he was 11 years older than me, and he already wanted to have family.
Right,
And I
right.
literally came to the point that just I think it's going to be better for us in order to move different directions. I don't want to be a weight. And I want to just still enjoy, and I have great friends and and I wasn't really feeling very pessimistic. I was just, nothing changed. I was still going to work. Everything was great. I was working out. I was just active. I was going everywhere. For me, it wasn't something that was holding me back. I knew the way, and I saw the way how he reacted. I was like, it holds you back. You need to move on. And no, he like stayed. I mean, like we broke up. A few weeks later, he came back. So we started like we kind of like tried to work out, but being honest, knowing like your situation, right? Yeah, there was a lot of just judging going on. It was a lot, for example, oh, if you didn't do this and this and this, you probably would never get it. I was like, like it's something what's, when it comes to health, it's unpredictable. And also apparently he brought out the situation about something what triggered him from the past as well. So it wasn't healthy. Then like I realized that I had completely different scenario. So I had to go to see other doctors. It wasn't cancer. I wasn't supposed to get operated and etc. But still, like that whatever we experienced in the past definitely had the reflection on whatever we already had afterwards.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So you thought that you had cancer, so you ended up breaking up. But do you think, had you not gotten that diagnosis, do you think, was it a situation, like a relationship that you feel like, oh, I can see myself marrying this guy?
So I didn't break up. We had their conversation. We were very honest. So the thing that prior to like what I was going through, right? We already had very rocky relationship.
Okay.
It was something, it was like we were lovey-dovey, everything was amazing. We never had a fight. We had amazing conversation. No,
that's totally different.
Yeah,
then.
we were communicating on a different levels. So we still, like we tried to make it work. It just didn't work out, right? And when the situation like occurred, right? And I literally sat down, I was like, okay, so that's what's going on, and just address it. I don't want to be just somebody you feel sorry for.
Yeah,
like
that's
I
fair.
really, I don't want to have this feeling. And the only reason why I'm saying that, because I saw my mom freaking out when my dad ended up getting in a car accident, and he had multiple surgeries on his brain as well. And there was a prediction from the doctors that if he survives, he's going to be a vegetable. I saw my mom freaking out and flipping like a lot. So, and I was witnessing that. That's why I knew that, hey, probably that's why I have that personality I have right now, in a sense that if you are here and if we trust each other, it's nothing going on. But for example, if I see that you're gonna like push boundaries, trigger and limit and always question me, and also like there is no like trust, so I'm just moving on.
Look,
very
the
easily.
bottom line is if one person is invested in a future of like children and kids, right? If the relationship's new, that person's gonna pursue that life to have the best life for themselves. And if you're the sick person in that scenario, you would recognize that, right? And you wouldn't, you know that there's nothing you could do to hold them back. But if it was a situation where you guys were together and fully invested already, then the best thing would be to take care of your loved one that's going through this painful situation until she gets better or she passes away. So, damn, this
But
got
I would
really
say
dark,
in this
you guys.
case, like you have conversation with another person, for example, no, everything's going to be great. And that's when you understand when you're on the same level. It's just like, no, everything's going to be great. We're going to be fine, blah, blah, blah. But it's just somebody, I have no idea what to do. And you like literally start feed on that fear. And now like you're panicking. I was like, yeah, like why do you actually like you're reflecting something what I never experienced before. I took it as like, okay, bummer.
But like this is
another person was freaking out.
This is real life. Look, we have one example, two examples,
Yeah.
and I was serious too. Like I've gone through that with the girl too. All right, next question, because this is, before we start like calling the depressed hotline and stuff. The question is, if we lived in a matriarchal society where women rule the world, then what would the man's role be?
What do you mean by ruling the world? Are we talking about the government positions when the woman is a part of their presidential title?
Yeah, everything that men rule right now.
Men don't rule right now. There's equality.
Keep telling yourself that.
So are we talking about men ruling the world? So the female takes every single dominant position, and the men, they don't work, period, or they still like fulfill certain positions.
Traditionally, men are all in all the powerful positions, and also all the laborious positions, the dangerous things too.
So from compliance point of view, let's just say not all, but majority of the positions. Let's just
So you want to be a la carte and pick and choose what you guys want to be in charge of? You could always just say we'd still put men on the laborious jobs.
Well, I don't know, because if you think about it, right, women typically stay at home and take care of children because they're more compassionate and they're softer and they provide things that like kids need to be able to like raise them. Correct. But does that mean then that women would take on the role of how men are, right? Like would
Yeah, I
women
think it would
be
have to
more
flip-flop.
assertive and like
Well,
dominant?
I'm asking you, so right? So you know that's clear about men that we're stronger and we can do the harder laborious jobs, and women are more nurturing, right? Where they could take care of the kids much better, right? So if women did want to take over all the positions of power, what are positions that they wouldn't take? And what are the positions that they definitely would be like, nah, y'all just stay on top of that. Y'all just keep covering that just the way you guys are doing it.
I think we're assuming that society would look exactly the same and we would just put women in those same positions. But I think it would be a little bit different if a woman was in power. I think we'd want to be more collaborative and not necessarily be above or below. I think women would want.
Would you want women to help with the labor stuff and men to help with the nurturing stuff?
No, I don't think that women are men and equal in that way. I think there are definitely strengths that men have.
So
and
keep with the strengths and weaknesses at the least, and then what happens after that?
Just evaluate on a case by case basis who's best for that purpose.
I think that men and women aren't the same. They're not equal. They're complementary. I think there are strengths that women have that a guy wouldn't. Like, I think that women are much more suitable for taking care of kids and taking care of the household. I think it's ingrained into men to go out and hunt and provide. It goes back to thousands of years. Like, the men would go out and hunt animals and bring back food for the families, and the women would take care of the kids at the home. Like, I think that at a baseline, that's what men want, and that's what women want.
So I'm asking this question because women are taking positions that are like men traditionally had now, right? In modern times
Like
now.
what?
Like you guys, right?
So quick question. For example, when we're talking about that scenario, are we talking about how it's going to be reflected on society, the economy, and the political structure? We're talking about how it's going to be reflected on the
And
family
the family,
unit.
both, yeah.
Okay, so as far as the political structure, as far as the economy, and I feel like the way where world like operates in general, I don't think it's going to have the dramatic change, because if the woman takes the position, the higher position, she's already well educated and she knows what's going on. And in that case, for example,
There's only one difference, okay? We've assumed that the men are doing the labor thing and women are taking these powerful positions, but now they're spending less time at home with the kids.
so all the women are taking those positions, or some of them?
I don't think that would work.
Everybody.
I'm just saying that if we did change to that, it would always revert back to what it is right now. Because everyone's going to be like, yo, we got strengths and weaknesses. Let's be complementary. Let's not work against each
I don't
other.
think that's a bad thing. I think that, society's always worked the best that way, where guys go out and do the dangerous things, and it's always protect men and women and children. And I think that that's just
Okay, so
part of
she
us.
said on a like societal level, now on a family level, what do you think would change about, like, if you were the caretaker at home of the kids, like how would that change the dynamic of family?
In this case, I feel like their women will find out the situation where the guys can be pregnant and actually take
No,
no,
I
but
think-
it's true, because I
think-
feel like she cannot operate and just take the
All right,
leadership
let's
position
be
if she's
realistic.
pregnant.
Well, I guess you could do surrogate mothers, but
yeah,
let's
but
be real.
okay, again,
but let's be real.
surrogate, that's a not
like a
manly
mother's
occupation
love
as
is
well.
something that a father can't do that. It's just it
And
wouldn't
and a
work.
father's like influence in masculinity is
Yeah.
not something that a mom could teach her boy.
Yeah, I think that kids need to have that mother's love, like, with them as they're developing. I think that if that was switched and the guy, it just wouldn't work.
So I guess what we're saying is the traditional family dynamic is the healthiest one.
Yes.
No.
Yeah.
It depends on who you are. For me personally, yes, 100%. I am of the belief that I prefer a very traditional family life, but that's not for
Do
everyone.
you
So I
think
don't think that we
do you
can
think
make
if
that assumption.
there's a situation where the mother works a lot and the father is home more often with the kids, do you think that would cause conflict, or that's perfectly fine?
For me, it would cause conflict.
No, like in general, as a society.
I mean, I know women who do work and their husbands stay at home with their kids. Would I do that myself? No. there's no way ever that I go to work for 40 to 60 hours a week and like make the majority of the income.
And the
then my
time
husband
out of the
stay
house,
home.
the majority of the time out of the house too.
Yeah, that's not really for me.
You're like, oh, feminists, y'all can have that fucking thing back.
Yeah, they can have that. I mean, I'm still like, you know, I'm still here for the fight, but like that specifically is not for me.
Okay, I didn't mean to get all battle of the sexes on you guys, but let's see. Okay, when you're in a relationship and somebody else hits on you, how do you diffuse or approach that situation? Yeah, I'm looking at you.
I was just kidding. I usually say that I'm taken right away. Yeah. And I know that so like a few times when the guys
There's
like,
an and.
you know what?
There's
like,
an
you're-
and. There's more to this story.
Yeah,
So you would
because,
sit there
for
and just
example-
like keep entertaining it. I'm taken, but hey. Da, 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 da.
No, most of the time, like guys approach, right? You have conversation and just, you know what? Just give you a heads up. Like I'm taking, I'm not interested in anything.
But you would
and they
continue the
usually ask a
conversation.
question. Not really, keep it short actually. Yeah, I keep it as short as possible, but I'm still being friendly. I'm not gonna say I'm taken and run away. You know, no, just still gonna like, yeah, like thank you for approaching. It
Okay.
literally compliments
Yeah. Miley,
me.
how do you-
But at
Have
the
to be
same
rude
time,
about it.
yeah, but because the person doesn't know, why do I need to actually make him feel miserable? And then maybe he can, gonna
Yeah.
have the post-traumatic stress disorder because somebody told
You know how
him
much
no,
it
and then
takes
he
for
doesn't.
someone to come
yeah.
up to you? Like,
yeah, that's why I'm always being like very respectful. I was like, yeah, sure, blah blah blah.
Trust me, he'll be fine.
And I know that guys most of the time like so like married or you just like boyfriend girlfriend. And you just like for example girlfriend, right? Oh, it doesn't mean that you're married. And they're just like, oh, you know what? Here's a problem.
yeah, that's the issue for
And I was
sure.
like, okay,
For sure.
like you are the one who really gonna cheat. Even when you are not in Vegas, you're gonna be next door.
Okay, Miley, how do you?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's a need to be rude to someone, but you know, just let them know, and you have to protect your relationship.
Yeah.
You know, and you have to be able to trust that your partner is going to protect your relationship. So you know, you need to set the boundaries and not.
So I usually say that you need to treat another person the way how you want to be treated.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I think we're all gonna agree, even if I ask you guys, right? But what about when the situation where you put
They're
yourself
billionaires.
that too, but no, but putting yourself in that situation in the first place, right? Like, yeah, you're gonna get hit on the grocery store, and
Yeah.
you're gonna get hit everywhere you go. I get it, right? But there's certain situations where you get hit on for sure. Like, there's no doubt.
Or when you sit at the bar.
Yeah,
Yeah.
or a girls trip.
So most of the time, I feel like if I sit at the bar, I'm going to be sitting with a bar with my partner. But
So you'll only go if he's going. You'll never go without his
not only, most
chaperoning.
Of the time. Most of the time.
Most of the
not all
time.
So, I mean, look, based on my previous experience, I do. So, for me, when it comes to the relationship, people need to meet on so many levels on emotional, mental, physical, and also the same values, spirituality. So, if something is missing, it's not working out. Because when you have emotional, mental, and spiritual connection on the top of the sexual attraction, so you're great friends, you have fun spending time together. You know, like you have the same values. So for me, like, yeah, most of the time I would spend the time with my partner. But if, for example, there is a girls' night out, right? Somebody has, one of my girlfriends has birthday and etc. And if somebody approaches, since you're already in the company, I don't think it happens often when the guys approach a group of girls. But if they actually do, just like, hey, I'm taking out with my girls, and you turn around and you leave.
And is it fair to say that you don't tell your partner about the situation? You just handle it,
I wouldn't say
let
yeah.
it slide,
wouldn't
tell them
say
you're
yeah.
taken, but you don't ever bring that up?
I would never.
I think you need to. If there's that trust in the other person, like I don't think you need to be like, oh, someone came up to me.
Yeah,
Like,
it's
I
just
said no.
I
don't
feel like
worry.
it's like stirring things up.
Yeah,
So
it's
hey,
stirring
like,
things
yeah,
up
I'm
for
so
sure.
hot. Blah, blah, blah,
Yeah.
blah.
And I think definitely being respectful about it, because I mean that happens to me, and you know it's not easy to go up to someone and ask for the number or go talk to
Yeah.
them. So I'm not going to shut someone down and make them feel bad about that. I'll be like, hey, thank you, but I'm in a relationship.
I've noticed the girls that have the highest self-esteem, like the ones that are really comfortable with themselves, they're never rude. They're always like very cordial about the rejection they give out.
That's a big one. When I would go up to a girl in the bar and just introduce myself, if someone is rude about it, I'm glad that they were.
They have
because
low
it shows like,
self-esteem.
okay, great, I just vetted you
That's
out right
true.
away. Like, you wouldn't have been a good person in my life anyways.
But it shows they have low self-esteem. Like there's a reason why they're angry and like acting that way. It's because like their personality is.
But how can they be rude if somebody is like, hey, like I found you very attractive, I would like to talk to you. Like how can he be like, don't talk to me? I don't know.
Oh, I have friends that are rude.
Are you serious?
I have friends that are like,
I
you're too
think that-
short, bye.
there are people that
Yeah.
like get off to that. Girls that like
Yeah, they think it's
like start
funny.
making guys feel bad.
Yeah,
or
they think it's
say like,
funny.
oh, that guy was so weird. Or like he was really creepy. Like
No,
it makes some people feel good
I
to
used
put
to say
other people
thank you
down.
for approaching. Are you all like, oh, this like, oh,
Yeah.
that's so sweet, thank you.
I say thank you because no one ever approaches me. So like when they do, I'm like, oh my god,
I find that hard to believe.
But like,
I was
I'll,
about to say so, like, oh,
so true.
like you're bullshitting.
but look, I'll be in a group, and I've noticed this time and time again, so I know for a fact it's true. They'll be like, I don't want to put numbers on girls, but I will. There's 6, 7s, 8, 9s, right? And every time the 9s like are super nice about how they reject you, but the 6s, I don't know what it is. There's this insecurity that they're almost like not confident enough to take the compliment. Like I'm not sure. Like I know what you're saying. Some girls are like real rude from the bat. She could be a 9 and be like, I just reject all short guys. I don't notice that much though. Like it's not as prevalent. Like yeah, there's the few cunts. Most people are cordial though.
How someone responds to a first approach can determine what number you are. I think that there's been times where I go up to like a 9 and introduce myself. They'll rudely shut me down. That brings her down to like a 6 or lower. If someone is rude and you know without even knowing me, like that goes to show who they are. And then it's gone the other way where I'd talk to a girl that's maybe a 7, but she's super nice and engaging and treats me like a human being. And I'm like, okay, she's closer to an 8, 9, even. Like, you know, it
But
goes both ways.
why do you think the girls that you have friends that are this way and the girls that you mentioned, they would shut somebody down immediately in a rude way off of just approach? I mean, it could be looks, right? But you just said you're a decent looking guy. Girl's a 9 and there's a 7. One of them shuts you down right away. Like, what could be reasons that they do that? Aside from the fact they have a
some
boyfriend.
girls feel good to have that power to, you know, put someone down. It makes them feel better. That's not every girl, but I think that's I think that, you know, the 9s and above that, you know, girls have always had an abundance of choice, and you know, the guys that don't meet that standard, you know, they feel good about rejecting them.
But I don't think it's okay. So you can say no in a different way in order to make another person feel good and don't mess up another person's evening. That's how I feel about that. And when it comes to the rejection, people just need to be honest up front, but at the same time, if your honesty hurts someone's feelings, just don't do that. And I think that I don't know. Didn't know the girls actually being rude when they're approached. I'm just surprised right now. Like when you told me, it's like, no way.
But you know what? I think it goes back to a point that you made before. I think sometimes some women may think, okay, even if I'm nice, there's been times where I rejected guys when I was younger, living in Miami, and they'd be like, well, fuck you, you ain't that good looking anyway. You know what I mean?
Oh,
so
yeah, I heard
sometimes
that.
when you
Okay,
have
I'm
like
done.
someone who has come back at you like that, you kind of build up this like toughness, and it's like, no, you're not really my type. Thanks anyways. So I think it depends.
But I have experienced that. Yeah, like when I was just saying no, just like, oh, do you think that you're so cool?
Exactly. Yeah.
And I was
for
like,
sure.
huh?
Yeah. So I think
Really?
it depends.
Yeah. Okay, now, okay. Oh, that was a good example.
And that kind of shows their true colors too. How someone responds to rejection too. If you're polite and you put someone, you reject them, you say, hey, thank you very much, but I'm in a relationship, and they're rude about it and they respond poorly, great. You made the right decision. You see their true colors. So it goes both ways.
It's interesting. Yeah.
So, but would we agree that this boils down to self-esteem, or would we say there's also an aspect of like they just like being a bitch?
It's also the way how you brought up.
I was gonna say prior experience.
Yeah. And also definitely everything comes from childhood.
Let's say you approached with like a really cordial manner. You got game too. You're good looking. You know, you hit all the right pieces on the head.
You wouldn't get rejected.
No. You would. You just said a 9 was a bitch to you, right?
Oh yeah.
right? So guys, they could do everything right and they'll still get rejected. Does that boil down to two things? Either she gets off on being a bitch, which is like, you could like take those on the chin, no big deal. Like, that's funny to me, right? Or you could realize this person has low self-esteem, or else no sane, rational person would ever respond that way.
Yeah. I would say, the way I used to get down on myself actually when I get rejected by any girl. I was like, oh, am I not good enough? Like, what's wrong with me? But now it's just they're not the right person, or like they're not in the right place. I take the pressure off myself because I'm confident in myself. I know who I am, and if someone rejects me, that's okay.
Taking a rejection because they have a boyfriend and it's genuine, like they really got a boyfriend, that never should bother anyone. It never bothers me, right? I'm like, oh, they're cute, they're taken, right?
Yeah.
If they're a bitch to get off on it, I think a guy who doesn't have high self-esteem wouldn't be able to take that on the chin very well, right? But a guy who does, he'd laugh at that and be like, ha ha ha, it's a little witty girl, huh? Okay, and then walk away and never deal with her again. But if she's mean because she's insecure, a guy can notice that and realize that, like, yo, there's like, yeah, I just think that's a big one. I think guys should approach girls more.
I don't even get mad. I feel bad actually sometimes. If
Well,
someone's like a real bitch, and
Then you
it's
just
like,
know that they're
I'm just
miserable
like, man,
people.
you
If
must
they're-
be going through some stuff
Yeah.
to take out that frustration and project that onto someone that you don't even know.
Well,
Yeah.
if you're insecure, that is kind of a pity, right?
Yeah.
It's sad. I feel sad for people like that. I really do. Yeah.
Okay, so, all right, let me just get to another question. I don't even know where that shit was going, to be honest. Oh, it started with you're in a relationship and someone hits on you. How do you tell them no? So, I guess that's where it's-
Respectfully.
yeah, respectfully. Let's see. Does anyone have any questions? Does anyone did anyone like a particular thread that we were on and we're like, we should have stayed on that one? We went through the whole your husband or wife was lost at.
Yeah, so it's not that one. Another one we were talking about, are you like good at judging
Okay, yeah.
judge of the character,
Yeah,
right?
judge a
Like what do you
character.
think? So and I literally had this because you mentioned that you're good, right? So
I'm not
among
going to
all
just
of us,
tell people I'm a good person.
No,
I like
no.
to demonstrate
But
that
for
with my
example,
actions.
not just telling that you're a good person. For example, you meet somebody for the very first time, and are you good at actually telling who they really are, in a sense that you see through the veil? Are they playing the games, or they are real people? In a sense that like sometimes people like to bullshit, they like to sugarcoat a lot of things. So I mentioned that I can be mistaken, and it happens quite often. Because I do start with 100% trust when it comes to the people, and then just point minus. There are a lot of points minus. I'm sorry, and I'm just moving on, right? So, but I start everything right here. I don't start right here, and it's just okay, like prove yourself. And I feel like that's what makes me not very good at judging people and also making the clear assumption of who they truly are. So, since you mentioned that you're good at that, so how do you actually build it, and what kind of questions you ask in order to see what the true colors of that person? And also, since we already spent about 2 hours over here, what you would say, I wouldn't point to you guys because it's not fair to you, but about me, what my 3 strengths and 3 weaknesses.
What do I think are your 3 strengths and your 3
Yeah.
weaknesses? I mean, it's hard for me to point out that many. Like I
One and
don't
one.
really know you that well. I think you're very open, and I think that's a great thing. I think being open and honest is something that everyone should, have. It's hard to say you have any weaknesses.
Your weakness is you talk forever.
Oh God.
You would say
It's
that,
Russian,
but
yes.
no, I think that you have. I could tell you're an honest person, but it's hard for me to really determine that without more time. I think that someone's action speaks louder than words, and that takes.
He's deflecting, guys. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
That's a hard question to answer.
No, it's. I like to. I think you need to look at both. I think someone that just looks at actions, that'll give you a good sense of someone. But you can listen to what someone says. But I think there's 2 types of people. There's talkers and there's doers. And someone could be, great at talking and have a great way with their words, and they do different things. And so I think watching someone's actions, how they carry themselves, how they respect themselves, you know, you could pick up on that. You know?
Yeah, I think the more experience you have as a person, you can intentionally elicit situations of ways that you want to pick up on their behavior. Like one example was take the motherfucker to a golf. If he cheats, you're eliciting a way for them to, right, show you their true character. But I don't want to put you guys too much on the spot, so let's just like get to some of these questions because I actually do have some. Okay, why do we use the term toxic masculinity a ton, but never toxic femininity?
So I was actually going to say when you were talking about questions, but they kind of got a little bit deeper, which that was a really good question that that Anna had. I was going to say, like, I would love to hear everyone's like what's their like toxic trait, right?
You go
Like I
first.
would love to hear what
I actually
people's
asked
toxic
about
traits
that
are.
during the relationship, during the first date. When, for example, I like a person. If I don't like the person, I'm just, okay, you know what? And you just wrap it up and you move. So, but if, for example, I like the person and I literally ask, okay, like, what are your 3 weaknesses? Only for one reason, because everybody brags how good they
Your
are.
eyes, your lips, and your soul, baby.
But you know, like everybody's okay, like just I'm this and look at this and backflip and split and here you are, right? But when you talk about weaknesses and if they're just and if they say they're perfect, and I was like, oh, you're a narcissist, you're not perfect, you're like more fucked up than anyone else. Yeah. So, but I like that. That's cool.
What are your 3 weaknesses? I know yours, one of them is being nosy, so let's get to another question.
Is
Okay,
it nosy or is it inquisitive?
whatever you want it to be, baby. Just that smile on your face is enough for me. Okay, you have a really bad fight with your partner. Who's the first person you're going to call? Actually, top 3.
My brother, my best friend.
Who is your best friend, a male or female?
She's a female.
Okay.
But so I don't remember who it was. Someone said something about like accountability. So like my friends will call me out on my bullshit every single time.
Oh, okay.
Every
It's
single
really
time.
important to
No
have.
matter, yeah, it was, yeah.
Will they root for me
No matter
instead
what.
on the guy side?
Oh,
We're like,
100%.
he's doing so good. Like, he's a great man.
1,000%.
Okay.
Absolutely. They'll be like, you're tripping. Like you're being crazy. Like you need to cut it out. 100%.
Like, he treats
My
you
friends
good,
will.
girl.
My friends have
Okay.
said that to me. Absolutely. So they will call me out on my bullshit 1,000%.
Okay, you said your female friend who's not a man basher, your brother, which he's a rational male. Who would be the third?
The third would be, I don't know, because I also don't like to like. It's not that I don't like to tell my
You don't
business, but
say
you
a
have
guy.
to be
I'm not
careful.
talking to you.
No, you just have to be careful with who you go and tell things to because you're
Is there
gonna
a father
forgive
figure,
the person.
like a uncle, maybe?
Yeah, I talk to my dad all the time. I talk to my mom all the time. But a guy, I don't really have any guy friends.
So your dad wouldn't be in the mix?
I mean, I wouldn't ask him for his advice. That's why I have my brother. What are you talking about? I just said a guy.
Okay. So
My brother's
2
my best
people.
friend.
It's kind of hard to say 3, I guess. How about you, Jay? Top 2 people you would call if you were in a fight with your partner?
I would say my brother is one of the first people I talk to. Not exactly for advice, maybe just a different perspective.
Okay.
I would get more advice from my father
Okay.
because he is more experienced.
Why not your mom, though?
I think guys just have a different. Guys are just different. Like they think differently, and my dad and I are a lot more similar in how he was at my age. And
You would go to a fisherman and teach you how to catch the fish instead of the fish?
yeah, I mean, I think my mom's perspective is valuable, but I would go to my father first.
Do you
'Cause-
feel like you would go to your dad because you know
He's
you
the
know what he's
fisherman.
gonna say, or do you go to your dad because you know that he's gonna give you an unbiased opinion, or do you go to him because you know that you're so similar?
And not because I know what he's going to say, because I actually. So this is going back to what I was saying. Like you learn more and more over time. Like
Yeah.
my dad wasn't open and honest with me. Like he was always honest with me, but he didn't let me into like his 20s and like the things that he dealt with and
Fair.
when he was young and wild. Like he didn't tell me that when I was younger, which is valid. Like I didn't need to know that. But now that I'm going through that stage and I'm encountering challenges in relationships, his life, he's, giving examples of scenarios where he's gone through that as well. So now that he's been happily married for like 30 years with my mother, like they're incredible together.
So
But-
he would be a good person to ask, right?
Yeah.
You ask a successful person that's successful in a certain endeavor. You wouldn't ask somebody, right, that
Yeah.
went through a terrible divorce. So he's like a good
I'll give you
person
an
to ask.
example of why his perspective was very valuable recently. Like, I'm 23 years old. I thought that having commitment issues was like a red flag or a problem. I thought that was a problem that I had to fix, but you can't fix something that's not broken. I think that I'm at the point in my life where I'm not ready to settle down. Like,
And
I'm
you
not ready to
shouldn't.
have kids. But for a while, I thought, why can't I thought that if you find a girl that checks off all those boxes, everyone becomes invisible, like, and you can just focus on that one person. But I found that wasn't the case. And I asked my dad that. I thought that I had an issue because I see some people that have, a monogamous relationship and they're seemingly happy, and the guy seemingly. Yeah, but in reality, like, I've talked to a lot of guys that they still are interested in other girls, but they kind of shove that down. But going back to what I was saying with my dad, I asked him, I was like, how were you when you were my age? Like, what were the things going through your head? And he told me he was the same way. Like, if he met my mother when my dad was 23 and my mom was, just a few years behind, they would have been two sailboats passing by each other. It wouldn't have worked. He wasn't in the place ready for that.
Yeah.
And then they met when my dad was 35 and my mom was like 30, and they've had an incredible marriage.
So to kind of sum it down, you'd ask a person who's successfully married that has been in the same situation that you've been in.
I would ask someone that has what I want.
Right.
I wouldn't ask someone that's been divorced 3 times, like, oh, give me some relationship
But
advice. If
having-
I want a successful marriage, like, I would ask my father, who's had a great marriage.
Right.
And I would ask some of his friends that have had great marriages.
But would you ask somebody that had a marriage for a long time and then it ended? So he's been there, done that, but he's not currently in a great marriage.
But they're still in a marriage.
No, like he's with someone for 30 years and then he's not with them anymore. So he had a long
I think
marriage.
both
So
can
he's
give you good
Yeah, I
advice.
think you can get a lot of value out of that too.
Yeah.
You can ask, like, someone that's been seasoned through life and ups and downs. I think there's always value to be extracted. I don't think you need to take everything to heart, but you could pick, bits and pieces here and there. Like, what were some of the green flags that you've picked up on in women throughout your years? Like, what are the red flags that you picked up on? Like, what advice would you have for me as I'm, starting, my career and, building relationships and meeting new people? Like, what if you could do it over again, like, what would you do? I think asking questions like that for someone that maybe their relationship ended, I think you can get a lot of value out of that.
okay. So don't go to like a pimp or a player. Go to
Probably
a
not.
married guy for 30 years. Okay.
But you got to ask someone that has what you want. Like, if you want to live that bachelor life and, have multiple women and, do that, you got to ask someone that has that. You can't ask a married man, like, how would I do this?
So going to your friends means nothing. When you have problems with your partner and you're fighting with your partner, right? And you go to your first friend or siblings or something like that. But if they are somebody that has like good judgment in that area, that should be the first person you tell about when you're having a fight with somebody, right? But it's just more comfortable sometimes to like tell the closest person sometimes.
Yeah, I think your friends would be a great person to vent to, but I think that guys at my age that are in relationships, they're still figuring it out. They don't really know how to live or have a successful marriage when they're figuring it out. Like, you got to ask someone that his experience life has at least like 30 years on you, because they've gone through those ups and downs. And if they endured it, you got to ask them, like, how do you do that? But I think that, you can vent to people your age, but
A track record is pretty much
yeah,
what
I don't
you're
think they're
saying.
qualified to give you that real advice for how to have a successful long-term exclusive relationship. in my opinion.
That's fair. Miley, you get into a fight with your partner. Who are you going to?
So, kind of along the same lines, I have two friends that they're married to each other. They have a really happy relationship. So whenever I have an issue, I'd go to them and ask what he would from his perspective and from her perspective, what they would do and how they would resolve a problem.
So you go to them as one unit, but to the both of them individually,
both of them, yeah,
and get
and then-
two perspectives from a married couple.
Yeah.
I think that's a really good point because I thought about that when you were mentioning your parents. And so you mentioned that your parents have been together for 30 years, but it's also like your mom is also a product of that, right? Like your
Yeah.
mom is a reason also why they've been together for so many years. So I thought about that too. So I think that's really great that
My
you
mom
asked
has a
both of
great
them.
like perspective on things,
Yeah.
but she's not a guy.
Yeah,
Like,
no, and
girls,
that's
girls go
fair.
through. I
Yeah.
think that she would give incredible advice for
Yeah.
my sister,
Yeah, yeah.
but like it's just different, you
Yeah.
know. The journey of a man is different than
for
the journey
sure.
of a woman. So
1,000%. Yeah.
Okay, Anna, we know you'd go to TikTok for advice, so I don't even need to ask you. But your camera also died, so that's why I don't need to. You guys, this usually goes for 2 hours, but it only went for an hour and 45. Actually, your guys' camera died way earlier. I didn't want to cut you off, so I appreciate you guys coming. Did you guys have a good time?
that was quick.
Yeah.
A minute 45. I mean, hour 45. Yeah.
That was 1 minute and 45 seconds.
Yeah. Hour 45. Okay. Well, I'm just gonna stop the stream. If you guys have some time, I want to fly my drone and get a real good group picture of us all.
Okay.
Headphones on, or no?
Yeah, we're done.